Good morning, class 11th. Let us continue with chapter 8, Silk Road, written by Nick Middleton in your Hornbill. So I hope you all have opened your book and now ready to begin. So as of now, dear students, in this chapter we have discussed that this chapter is a travelogue of Nick Middleton, the narrator, the protagonist, the writer. In this chapter, the writer has described his journey to Mount Kailash. In this chapter, the protagonist has described his journey to Mount Kailash. Okay? It's a small part of his travelogue in which when he starts his journey, he received a present that was sheepskin coat from Lama in this story, and introduction of Lama has not been given in this story. Okay, only we have just come across this name in the beginning. Okay, then they started their journey. He hired Satan's car, and with one more companion, Daniel, they started their journey. Now these three peoples had to come across many obstacles. First, they came across the gazelles. Asian deers. They were beautiful, very attractive, and further they came across wild ass. And narrator also discussed the way they were exercising. It was like a military exercise, the way they were running, jumping, hopping, turning. So these wild ass, it was like a military exercise, like an exercise of military in the good formation. They were performing this exercise. The narrator came across mastiffs. They are dangerous dogs of Tibet. So this breed of dangerous dog, the narrator came across, and they were guarding nomad's tent. So when narrator were passing through their tent, so they were barking and attacking on narrator's car. But after 100 meters, when they found the narrator had gone off, then they left. At this point, narrator came to know why these dogs used to be the part of Chinese imperial court, Chinese royal court. So the students' narrator's journey continued. Sometimes narrator was not feeling well. Sometimes he felt headache. So he applied the methods which he had been taught or which he had read in the books to get rid of these cold or these headache. So thus he reached Hor. He found Hor. It was not an interesting place. It was dull place. He did not find anything interesting in Hor, but as he had read in the books, according to what he had read and what he had heard, it was an interesting part. But in reality, the narrator did not find anything interesting in Hor. So thus his journey continued. Sometimes they had to wait to snow to melt and give them way. And because of high pressure, also their petrol tank was full of gas, we can say, a kind of, it has been mentioned here, when Satan opened the uncovered that petrol tank, so suddenly it is like blast, the gas comes through it. So Satan told it that it happens when we drive on a height, on an altitude. So the student, now I am going to explain. So please open page number 79, everyone. Page number 79. Today I am going to explain you. I will finish this story today. So we have seen how narrator one night he could not sleep well. He was suffering with great cold, so he went to a medical college and he brought some medicine. Now he was feeling well. Okay, page number 7, not page number 79, sorry, it is page number 81 beta. Page number 81. So at this point, student, after reaching Darchen, Satan left for home, because the narrator hired his car only till Satan. So now only till Darchen. So now the narrator was alone because Daniel had left earlier. Daniel had to go to Lhasa, so he found lift on a truck and he left for Lhasa. And Satan left his company in Darchen. Now there was no one, narrator found no one who could answer his question, who could answer to his question in English. In Darchen, narrator found no one who could understand English. So it was the big challenge for him, because he could only speak English, but he did not find anyone who could speak English. Then narrator met a person whose name was Norbu. So let's see what happened when protagonist met a person whose name is Norbu. Okay, let's see students, what happened then. Second paragraph of page number 81. Please look at it. The cafe had a single window beside which I had taken up position so that I could see the pages of my notebook. So now the narrator was sitting in a cafe for taking tea. So he found a single window in cafe, and now the narrator is in Darchen. Okay, in Darchen he is sitting in a cafe, and this cafe is having single window beside which he had taken up position so that he could see the pages of his notebook. I would also brought a novel with me to help pass the time. So narrator also brought a novel with him. So he started reading these books which he had bought with him, as he found no place to visit in Darchen. So he had nothing to do to pass his time. So he started reading the books which he had brought with him. Norbu saw my book when he came in and asked with a gesture if he could sit opposite me at my rickety table. Rickety means unstable. Rickety means, dear student, rickety means unstable. Rickety means unstable. You English? He inquired. Then Norbu inquired that he was an English. After he had ordered a tea, I told him I was, and we struck up in a conversation. Now, a conversation started between the narrator, Nick Middleton, and Norbu. As Norbu confirmed whether he was an English because he was reading and English novel, so he guessed that he was an English and his guess was correct. Now a conversation started between Norbu and the narrator, the protagonist. I didn't think he was from those parts because he was wearing a wind cheater and a metal rimmed spectacles of western style. I didn't think he was from those parts. So narrator says that he did not think that Norbu belonged to Darchen, belonged to those parts, those hilly areas. Okay. Narrator thought that Norbu was not a local person of there. Okay. Because what was the reason behind this thinking? Because he was wearing a wind cheater. Wind cheater means a wind resident jacket. A wind resident jacket. Jacket, sorry. A wind resident jacket. Okay. Wind cheater. Wind cheater. A wind resident jacket. Okay. A wind resident jacket. So he was wearing a wind resident jacket, which proving that he was not a local person. He was from any other country because it was of western style. Okay. And metal rimmed spectacles of a western style. So Norbu was wearing a wind cheater and a metal rimmed spectacles of a western style. So which was proving that he was did not belong to that place. He had also come from outside. He was a Tibetan. He was Tibetan. He told me that he was Tibetan. He told me, but worked in Beijing at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. He was Tibetan, but he was working in Chinese Academy of Social Sciences in the Institute of Ethic Literature. I assumed he was on the same sort of field work. So the narrator guessed that he was in the same kind of field work as he was working in Beijing at Chinese Academy of Social Sciences and in the Institute of Ethic Literature. So narrator thought that he assumed that he was of same sort of field work. Yes and no, he said. I have come to do the Kora. So he said he had come to do Kora. Yes and no, he said. Yes, for what? For he was not a local one, and no, because he did not come there for his field work. He came there, he had come there to do the Kora. My heart jumped. So narrator's heart jumped because narrator found someone who had come there for the same purpose. As now narrator had become alone, there was no one for his company because Daniel had left when he found a lift in a truck, and he went for Lhasa, and Satan also left him because it was a deal between them. Till Darchen he had to drop the narrator till Darchen only. Now narrator found Norbu that he had come there for the same purpose. So it was really very interesting for narrator, and that is why he was very much excited to find someone who came there to perform the same meditation. Norbu had been writing academic papers about the Kailash Kora and its importance in various works of Buddhist literature for many years. So Norbu had been writing academic papers. Norbu was writing academic papers about the Kailash Kora. So as he was working in an social sciences institution, and what was his part? His part was Institute of Ethic Literature. So he was writing on Kailash Kora, Mount Kailash Kora. Norbu had been writing academic papers about the Kailash Kora and its importance in various works of Buddhist literature for many years. He told me, but he had never actually done it himself. So Norbu had been writing a paper on Mount Kailash Kora, but he himself had not visited there, had never visited there. So this time he decided to visit there. When the time came for me to tell him about brought me to Darchen, his eyes lit up. We could be a team, he said excitedly. Okay, so now students, the narrator hadn't reached Darchen yet. Actually he was in Hor. Still he was in Hor. Okay. So the narrator hasn't reached Darchen yet. No? Okay. That is why he said, when the time came for me to tell him what brought me to Darchen. Sorry, once again I got mixed up here. Okay. So now it was the time came when narrator had to tell Norbu that for which reason he had visited Darchen. Yes. Now at this point, narrator had to share with him that for what purpose he had come to Darchen. His eyes lit up. So when Norbu came to know that the narrator had also come there to perform Kora, Kora, which is Buddhist meditation, which is a kind of parikrama. Okay, so when Norbu had also come there for the same purpose, when he came to know that the narrator had also come there for the same purpose, the narrator's eyes lit up. Norbu's eyes lit up. Yes, then Norbu became happy. Narrator was also happy because he found a friend with whom he could complete his Kora. Now Norbu was also happy because he was also in the same condition. He was alone earlier and he found a company now. He was in a company. Okay. So we could be a team. Now they decided that they could be a team, he said excitedly. Two academics who have escaped from the library. Perhaps my positive thinking strategy was working after all. So two academics here, the narrator as well as Norbu, the two academics who have escaped from the library, and both belong to library. Both escaped, came out from the library. Perhaps narrator's positive thinking strategy was working. Okay. My initial relief at meeting Norbu, who was also staying in the guest house, was tempered my realization that he was almost as ill-equipped as I was for the pilgrimage. So, the narrator's initial relief at meeting Norbu, who was also staying in the guest house, as the narrator was staying in a guest house, Norbu was also staying in a guest house, and was tempered by the realization that he was almost as ill-equipped as I was for the pilgrimage. So, narrator found Norbu that he was also brought less things for the pilgrimage, ill-equipped. Okay, the things which they needed for their pilgrimage. So narrator was lacking of those things. So in the same way, narrator found Norbu was also lacking of those things, and they both were staying in a guest house, while most of the visitors who used to come to perform Kora, they pitched up their tent and they were staying in those tents. But narrator as well as Norbu, they were staying in a guest house. He kept telling me how fat he was and how hard it was going to be. Very high up, he was reminding me so tiresome to walk. He wasn't really a practicing Buddhist. It transpired. Transpired means, student here, predicted. Transpired means predicted. Transpired means predicted. But he had enthusiasm, and he was, of course, Tibetan. Okay. He kept telling me how fat he was and how hard it was going to be. So he kept telling the narrator how fat he was and how difficult for him to, walk on such height, such altitude. Very high up, he kept reminding the narrator, so tiresome to walk. So as the narrator also experienced the same thing, so he kept reminding the narrator how tiresome it was to walk on this height. He wasn't a practicing Buddhist. It predicted, but he had enthusiasm, and he was, of course, Tibetan. So he was not a practiced Buddhist. This Kora was performed by only Buddhists, but Norbu was not a Buddhist, even though he came there to perform Kora, because to perform that meditation, because he was writing on the Kora. Okay. Although I had originally envisaged means desired. Envisaged, let me rub it. If you can write, please write down. It is desired. Envisaged means desired. Making the trek in the company of devout believers, on reflection I decided that perhaps Norbu would return out to be the ideal companion. So although I had originally the the narrator had originally uh, sorry envisaged desired in making track their journey in the company of devout believers. Devout means, you know, who are devoted, who are showing a great religious belief. Okay, so narrator wanted to perform his journey, to complete his journey with a devotee. On reflection, I decided that perhaps Norbu would turn to be the ideal companion. And Norbu was not Buddhist, even though narrator thought that Norbu would be a suitable companion. He suggested we hire some yaks to carry our luggage. So Norbu suggested the narrator that they should hire hire some yaks to carry their luggage. Okay, which I interpreted as a good sign, which which narrator considered a good sign, and he had no intention of prostrating. Prostrating means, laying down. Prostrating means laying down. Prostrating means laying down. Okay, prostrating means laying down. No intention of laying down himself all round the mountain. So as the narrator got tired a lot, and he had to suffer with cold and sometimes with headache, so that is why he did not want to take any risk. So he was ready to hire yaks so that it could carry their luggage. Okay, as already he faced a lot of trouble. Not possible, he cried, collapsing across on the table. Hysterical laughter. It wasn't his style, and anyway his tummy was too big. So when he, once again look at this line, which I interpreted as a good sign, and he had no intention of prostrating himself all round the mountain. Not possible, he cried, collapsing across the table in hysterical laughter. The person, hysterical means laughing the way as if he would fall down and become unconsciousness. Okay, he started laughing and said, it is not possible, it wasn't his style, and anyway his tummy was too big. So this is all the narrator has given in this story. Further, the narrator doesn't tell us whether he was able to perform his kora or not. So what happened next in the journey? So only this much the narrator had given. So once again we are going to discuss from beginning some important points of this chapter, what we have discussed. So narrator started his journey from for Mount Kailash, and his starting point was, look at the first paragraph. The name of the starting point, they went Changtong, it is given here. Several mountains they had to go through. So from Ravu, so the narrator started his journey from Ravu. So he had to come across many high mountains, and narrator in Ravu, he had hired Satan's car. He took Daniel as his, for his company, as Daniel wanted to go Lhasa. Okay, So they started their journey. They came across, gazelles, wild as mastiffs, nomads tent. So narrator had to come across many obstacles. Somewhere the snow was very hard. Somewhere they could not drive smoothly. Somewhere it was sharp turn. Okay. So narrator, when he reached when he reached Hor, so it was a great pain in his head. It was a great headache. So he applied various methods to get rid of it. So when he reached Darchen, Satan left him in Darchen, and he found a new companion there, Norbu, and they together started their journey from Darchen. Norbu as well as the narrator started their journey for Kora to Mount Kailash from Darchen. Okay students, so it's all about the chapter. So thank you students for watching the video.